Which is better, leg press or squat? Let's talk about it. So a few days ago, I posted a video on my Instagram of me doing a set of safety bar squats. It was ranging somewhere from 420 to 450. I don't know the exact weight, pounds, by the way. I definitely don't want to put the wrong information out there. But the discrepancy in weight is just from me not believing how much the trainer said, or the manager of the gym said that the safety bar weighs. I felt like it felt much lighter than what he said. So that's why I'm putting a 30-pound discrepancy in there, because I felt like it wasn't accurate. But it was somewhere between 420 and 450. And I did a set of 5, and I posted that video on my Instagram, and I asked a question: which is better, leg press or squats? Now, I gave no context. I gave no additional information. I just asked that simple question. And I gave a third answer option. So you could choose leg press, you could choose squat, or you could choose it depends. Now, I have the results here. I can't see who voted for what. I do have a private account, so it's just the people that I have following me that voted. And I know most of these people. 14% said leg press. I am not surprised, but I kind of thought it would actually be even lower than that. 62% said squat. Again, not surprised. Knowing all the people that I know, I figured actually that I thought this number was going to be a little bit higher. And then 24% said it depends. Now, this one, I was hoping it would be higher, because I do have a lot of friends that are trainers or, professionally train other people, for their jobs. That was very redundant, but whatever. I believe that the third answer is the only correct answer. It depends, because without additional context, without additional information, how can you actually make a proper assessment of which movement is going to be best? What I want to do is I want to quickly just talk about the two movements and quickly talk about when one might be better than the other. Let's do that. So let's start by talking about the squat. The squat is amazing. Just so you guys know, I do both. I am not of the camp that's like you just do one, you don't do anything else. But these are the questions that we ask on social media and on the internet so that we get some clickbaity controversy. But I do both. I do both because I think they're both good for different reasons. But if you are trying to decide what you should do, or somebody's making you feel like, only one is the right answer, I kind of want to help you out here and give you some reasons why you might squat or why you might leg press. Now, as I was saying a second ago, the squat is amazing. However, I think that it is a little bit overhyped in terms of saying people need to squat, okay? Now, here's the reason why. We live in a time and a world where people can't really do things that our bodies are supposed to do. And that's okay. That's reality. We can talk till our face goes blue about what we're supposed to be able to do. And it's a shame. And yeah, okay, cool. It is. But what, we're living in reality. What do we do? Well, in reality, if squatting causes you great discomfort, not just like I'm training my muscles and my muscles are sore, because if that's your issue, then everything's going to cause an issue. But let's say it's giving you back pain or knee pain or, ankle or your hips hurt, whatever, then maybe it's not the right movement for you yet. It doesn't mean you have to write it off forever, but maybe doing something like a leg press until you get stronger, until your mobility increases in your legs, just because you're developing some muscle, you're going through range of motion, you can eventually get to the squat and then choose which one you prefer. I'm glad I ended the sentence there, because which one you prefer. This is really important. Going to the gym and working out is hard. it is. And people who tell you it isn't, they just maybe don't have empathy to understand how everyone's going to feel about doing it. Pretty simple. But if it's already hard and we choose to do things that make us miserable and that we hate, you're just making it even harder. So if you have movement preference, do the one that you prefer. Do the one that your body feels like it can perform better so that you can perform better. Right? Now, there are certain instances where I think that squatting is necessary, despite what I just said. If you're training for something specific, for example, let's say powerlifting, you have to squat. CrossFit, you have to squat. High rocks, you have to squat. Any sort of, I know there's a whole bunch of, there's like grid, there's all sorts of functional competitions. You have to squat. Strongman, you have to squat. You also have to leg press, but you have to squat, okay? And for those purposes, if you're only training your leg press or you're training leg press way more than squatting, the problem is when it comes time to perform, your body is not conditioned or trained to perform that specific movement. That's a big problem. So if you're doing any of those things, you have to squat. If you're not training for any of those things, if you're training for, let's say, just your general health, general strength, just to feel good, or maybe even bodybuilding would fall into this category, you should choose the movement that's going to help you achieve your goal. And general strength, general muscle growth, bodybuilding, specific muscle growth can be done better with machines because it's a more controlled situation. Now I'm going to show you guys a set of my squat, which is the video I posted on my Instagram, just so you guys can quickly see what I'm talking about. All right. So like I said, this is somewhere between 420 and 450. Now, I'm proud of this set. I go to parallel, which is my capability without lifters. With lifters, I can typically go a little bit maybe below parallel, but I have an ankle injury. I have limited flexion in my right knee. So I just have to do the best I can do. I have had ACL reconstruction, meniscus, so on and so forth. And yeah, I'm happy with this set. But what we're going to see is from rep 1 to rep 5, the reps start looking different as we get deeper into the set. Okay? Now, this is a problem for a few reasons. If you're doing, let's say, bodybuilding, where, specificity of which muscle you're trying to use matters, that's not great because you could be using more of your quads at the start of your set and then using more of your glutes at the end of the set. And in bodybuilding, we kind of want to be able to control which muscle we're training at what time or which ratio we're training. So if I want, 60% quads and 40% glutes, you can't literally do that, but let's just hypothetically say. But by the end of the set, you're doing 30% quads and 70% glutes. It's like, how much work did my quads do? How much work did my glutes do? What do I need to, we want to be able to control the variables. And if you're going for general strength and general health, the issue with the quality of rep changing is higher injury risk. And that's not really going to help you with getting generally strong and generally healthy because injury is literally the opposite of those two things. So that's where squat may not be good. We talked about where squat would be good. We can talk about leg press. I'm going to show you guys this set right here. Now, one of the things I do with the leg press, because I do find that I have more forward lean. I'm only going to parallel in my regular squats, which is going to give me a higher ratio of working glutes. So when I get onto the leg press, I want to try to get more quad engagement. Now, one of the ways we do that is we get our feet lower on the platform. That's going to force our knees further over our toes. That's going to force greater knee flexion, which is going to give us more quad. I mentioned my issues, my left ankle and my right knee. And since I'm not getting surgery to correct these things right now, I have to work with what I can. So I've added these blocks, which are right under my shoe. This is about 15 degrees. And this allows me to keep my feet low and get much better knee flexion than I could without them. And so I get much more quad engagement by doing this, okay? Now this is immediately advantageous when we talk about bodybuilding, being able to control which muscle we're targeting, right? Now when we talk about safety, so the injury risk, yes, there's injury risk here as well, but what you'll notice is as I'm making my way to rep 10, I'm having a really hard time, right? I couldn't have squeezed out more reps on the squat without continuing to severely compromise my rep 1 form. But as we're kind of approaching rep 7, rep 8 here, my reps all look the same. There's a similar tempo, very similar range of motion in terms of my depth, and then the lockout. They're getting extremely hard, but they look the same. So the injury risk in that regard is much lower, right? And this has things like safeties and stuff too, just like those safety bars I set up. So there's a lot of things that we can do to protect ourselves. Now on that note, this is just kind of maybe a free lesson. When you are doing this, one of the things we want to watch for, so right there as I got to the bottom, one of the things I'm feeling for to find what is my end range of motion with my current abilities of my knee and my ankles, the moment I feel my butt starting to lift off this seat, or what may happen in this video too is seeing some movement here in my torso, so my torso getting pushed up, I know that that is max, because now in order to get that platform lower, I'm having to find movement elsewhere, not in my knees, not in my ankles. And so that's kind of my end range. So when people go beyond that and they allow their butt to kind of tilt or their back to move, this is where some of those injuries can definitely happen. So I just wanted to kind of point that out. But we're gonna see these last few reps here. I'm working really hard. I even put the safeties on here because I just needed a second, but I'm able to push to this maximum point, right? So that's gonna be great for building strength. That's gonna be great for building muscle, especially specific muscle. But as we talked about, not super great for being able to squat, because in this position, I don't have to focus on balance. I don't have to focus on bar path. I don't have to focus on my core being engaged and controlling my torso being upright. I don't have to do any of those things. So it's not going to be super great for CrossFit, high rocks, functional competition, powerlifting, but it will be great for general strength and general muscle building. Make sense? Makes sense to me. So this is where we are. It depends. I think sometimes we put free weight movements on a pedestal of like, this is the only thing that's good for you to do in the gym and anything else is inferior. And I think it's just not true. I think it really depends on each person. It depends on your reason why are you training? And it really depends on, your limitations. And the last thing is going to be, does it feel good? Like, I find that when I'm doing something that makes me feel good, I do it a lot better than the thing that doesn't make me feel good. And if I want to get efficiency and get the most out of my time and effort that I'm putting into this thing, well, I should probably do it well, right? And for me, like I said, I do both, but I have my reasons. In the squats, it makes me feel really good to be able to lift heavy weights. I know I'm getting more glutes just because of the way that my body moves. I'm 6'2", by the way, with very long legs and a short torso. So the worst, and very long femurs. So literally like the worst proportions you can have for squatting. But, you make do with what you have. I can't change that. I like to do the leg press in this form because it lets me get really heavy and get more quad engagement. And then I work quads again because I do find it's a limited muscle for me because of my injury limitations. I get onto the hack squat. And with the hack squat, it's going to be much lighter than the leg press, but I'm able to get into a really deep knee flexion position. So I, once again, really get those quads working. And I think over time, it does help my general mobility to get into this leg press where I'm, able to get deeper, or into the hack squat where I'm able to get deeper. And over time, I am seeing some benefit translate back to my regular squat where I can potentially get a little bit deeper too. Yeah. So basically you clicked on this video to get an answer. I gave you a really annoying answer. And then when I tried to explain the answer, I just talked for 12 minutes rambling on to finally land you at the end and once again repeat the annoying answer. It depends. If you want to get annoyed more, definitely check me out. I will probably be doing this with other movements as well. If you guys do happen to still be here, I appreciate you spending your time with me. I hope you have an amazing day, and I will see you next time.